Hello everybody, welcome back to the table. Today we've got something here from Tiny Battle Publishing, so I thought I would open that up and let's take a look at what's inside. Ooh, already pulled it out, counters right away. So let's just grab the plastic and open it. Now I did also received a digital copy so I could look ahead of time and read some things. So a couple things that I can share right off the bat is this is 88 counters. Now I'll tell you what's really amazing about this. These are, I'm pretty sure these are 1-inch counters, and that's great. Their other game, they had one Chili 73 I think, which also has the 1-inch counters. Let me grab something real quick. Through the magic of editing, I'm back. What I did was I just thought of this. I grabbed here, this is from the magazine, Yahoo Magazine game, Beast at the Gates. And this here is, it's a Civil War game. But these are the traditional, I say traditional, oh, the light. Light doesn't do very good way up here. Let's see if you can see that though. Maybe I can do that. But anyway, these are 5/8 inch counters, for example. And much smaller here than what you have. I'm going to punch one of these out. Oh man, they punch out real good. I wonder if I can stack these a little bit. But anyway, you can see that it's a huge difference in the counter size, and that's fantastic. I really am enjoying the larger counters and really getting spoiled by Flying Pig Games and all the large counters there. So it's nice to see that happening over here at Tiny Battle Publishing. Now, I can't say that every game they do is going to have 1-inch counters, but this one does. So that's fantastic. And since counters was the first thing I grabbed here, here's an artillery. This is a ground asset. And these punch out good. And another really good thing about these too, because the counters, that's my thing, these are individually punched, so they're not all together on one sprue sheet, you know, like all stuck together, and then you have to pull each one apart. They will actually pop out separately, and that's fantastic. And they've got the pre-rounded corners, which again, a little disappointing because I've got that really fancy, corner trimmer thing. But here's a couple right here. Artillery and an army vehicle. Alright, and the artwork is really good. These have really good artwork, and that could be because of the size of the counters, so you can actually fit something on there. So there's militia, police, CTS, not sure what some of that is, probably a special forces unit of some sort. But yeah, I just have an assortment here in my hand. The artwork is great. It's got a top bust silhouette type of picture of troops, and then it has the NATO symbol behind it, so the troops look really good. Even the ISIS, these ISIS ones are kind of faded out, and even that's kind of cool because if you think of the ISIS, that's the AI driven. We'll talk about the game here in a second, but they're kind of ghosted out, and in a way that's thematic and fitting all at the same time because they're, hidden around. In fact, it's double-sided, so they're faded out because that's like the hidden side, and then when they're like revealed, the side's filled in. That's actually very cool. And in fact, I noticed that here on like the police one side is all colored in perfectly, and then this side is probably like the wounded side or something. Anyway, it's kind of ghosted out. I don't know, it's just neat. It just caught my attention. I was like, that's actually kind of cool. Those assets are full color. So, yeah, I guess there must be a reason for that. So the ghosted side must mean, hidden or something. I don't know. That to me is just very, 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 very cool. Awesome. Let's see. These assets on the one side show civilians, but I guess that means they are hidden. And then when they're revealed, you can flip it and you get a nice full color counter on the back. Yeah, these are really good. I'm super happy with these. There's not much sticky. That's one thing I notice. Sometimes you get these, there's a little bit of sticky on the edges, but these are really nice. So you got one sheet here which has assets, some ISIS fighters, and the other one here, this must be the Iraqi forces sheet. Then a separate sheet here that says Ops. And then the other side has like ISIS flags crossed out. I guess that means the area has been cleared. So I already spent several minutes just talking about the counters. That's awesome. Then next thing in the plastic I'm grabbing is the, well, no, I guess not the map. This must be the sideboard, player aid. So we have north, west, south sectors. And I know just from reading ahead on the rules a little bit, when we get the map out, there's going to be deployment zones where you can place troops. And just kind of my basic understanding, because you know, I haven't played it yet, I'm just grabbing all the components out, is this is going to be where you can track casualties, different things, because there's your casualty tracker, victory point trackers. And then when you like have your assets here and you plan your operations, you move it from what's available here onto the map. And like here's your air asset pool, so you'll have certain air assets available. Once they've been used, they go to expended. And ground asset, you can put ground support forces to the north or west, but then when you deploy to the map, if you had a ground asset assigned here to the north, you couldn't then assign it to the west and south. So this is like your planning sheet and then your tracker. So it's a very nice player aid. So I'll just set that aside. Then we're going to grab, this is the actual map. What do we have here? Let's flip it around for you. So this looks like the maybe 8.5 by 17. So I would say maybe like their standard size map. Looks great though. You can't complain about that. So some different rules I was reading. Here's like a north deployment. Trying to get my compass right here. North, south. I guess that's west side. And during the course of the game, as you plan your operations, you'll deploy to the map in these red zones. And then you'll make assaults into the city. So you'll have to plan like what square. And the idea is you want to capture as many of these city spots as possible across the river. Now the river hexes you can't cross anywhere but at a bridge. So you want to capture bridge control so you can continue to move troops in, because the river is too wide to just cross without the bridge. And what you want to do to gain victory points is capture each of these city locations, and you also want to get to like the hospital, the Grand Mosque, Ramadi East Station, and you want to have the government complex captured by the end of turn 10. So this is a 10-turn game, and if you don't have the government complex captured by the end of turn 10, you lose the game. Now, you would think that would be simple because it just come from the north and it's just a few hexes in, but we'll have to play the game first and see how strong the ISIS defenders are. But as you capture, then the game engine will run the combat and you might gain casualties and things like that. So you're constantly adjusting your victory points as you move towards turn 10. So at the end of turn 10, you not only have to own the government complex, but then you want to have more victory points than the ISIS. And I keep saying like the ISIS player, but it's the ISIS AI. So it's a solitaire game. Let's see here. Headquarters. I guess you're there at the glass factory. Yeah, I mean that's the map. I think it looks great. Very functional. The artwork is fine. I don't have any complaints with that. Everything's actually really easy to read. So I think that's great. Another great tiny battle map. And then we have here the book. Let me grab that out here. Alright, Battle for Ramadi book. This is actually a fantastic book. And I say like book, not just rule book, because the last part of this book is designer notes and historical notes, which is great. Let's see, in the back I notice here is another player aid for you, different bits of information, sequence of play, the ISF operation table, a setup table where different troops go. So very clean, very easy to read. And then let's take a look in the actual book. The cover They've had more dynamic, exciting covers, so I know I nitpick over stuff. But the thing is, when you put out a lot of really good quality games, sometimes you have to kind of find things to nitpick. The artwork is fine. I'm not going to say it's bad. I was just hoping maybe like machine gun muzzle flash and that's just me. All right, you got your table of contents right there when you first open it up, and it pops right into the rules. So you got your introduction to the game. So this is you in charge of ISF forces trying to take Ramadi from ISIS. Then you go into the game components, and everything, first of all, again, nice size print, easy to read, color, so you can clearly see exactly what counters they're talking about, and the double column. So this is a very easy set of rules to read. It goes into the game components and just tells you what comes with the game. Then it explains the forces, so you get an idea of what your counters are that you're going to be using. Then it talks how to set up, and then it goes into playing the game, which the playing the game really is just explaining kind of the goals of the game and what you're trying to accomplish. The actual how you play starts on page 5. So it goes up, well actually it starts at looks at the bottom of page 4 here. Trying to look at this upside down and capture everything. Here's this part where it clearly, I guess it's right here. I guess top of page 5. So step 6, turn execution, and it goes through all the different steps that you have. Again, it follows through very well. Nothing complicated. And that's the nice thing. So the actual how to play is 1, 2, 3, and just a little bit over here. So like 3 pages of rules. That's actually really good. Then you have some optional rules. They include some options on how to use your drones. There's also a variable game length. So the actual historical battle, trying to remember and read upside down, ended on the 28th of December of 2015, but fighting continued because they didn't have the entire city. It's just that's when the ISF forces had reached the government complex. So they kind of declared it a victory, but there were still areas that were under ISIS control. So fighting actually went on for about another month. So there is an optional rule where you could possibly extend the campaign a little bit to account for that. Then there's also an optional rule for on-call air assets. Now, how that will actually affect the game is it looks like in the optional rules, there's a chance where if you're doing combat, as far as the on-call air assets, you could roll a die and one of your air assets that maybe you hadn't assigned could come in and assist the battle. Then it goes to the expended. Versus having to plan every use of air asset. I mean, it'd be fun. I don't think I'll try optional rules the first time I play. There's only 3 of them. And the drone rule, looks like there's another section for the use of drones, but in the optional rule, you can go ahead and use those to defend an area. So if it gets attacked by ISIS, you already got drones there. So again, interesting to see maybe 2 or 3 plays down the road, throw some optional rules in. But there's only 3, so that's nice. Then it goes into talking about excuse me, the counters in detail. So you got several pages of that. 1, 2, 3 pages. And again, nice full color. Everything is set up so it's very easy to tell, by column. Just really slick layout. I really enjoy that. That's it. So again, you only have a couple of pages of actual rules. Some of it is game setup and exclamations, and then optional rules and counters. Then the rest of it is designer notes. Always thoroughly enjoy designer notes. I remember though from one thing I read was, even though the battle's been over for a while, when I think when he was designing the game, he actually, like, the battle was happening, and so he started the game. And I think if I remember right, all of these locations here, the mosque, stadium, all those places were spot on where they should be historically. Like if you just remove the grids, you'd have a fairly accurate representation of the city, and where these places are, except for the government complex. So based on best guesses and estimates of what they could get, that's where the government complex is. So I always find it fascinating to read kind of the behind the scenes and thought processes that go into stuff. So that's designer notes, background, and then historical notes. So don't let the 21 pages, well, it's not really 21, it gets to 18 here. Yeah, I guess there's 18 pages of text for you to read, but don't let that intimidate you. I know sometimes I go like, oh, I gotta read 21 pages, but no, it's really just a few pages. But anyway, again, fantastic rule book, and that's what's in the rule book. So what comes in your game? We'll just wrap up. We've got the full color rule book with designer notes, historical notes, gameplay, charts, and then counter references on the inside. You have your 8 by 17 inch map. I believe that's an 8. I guess one of these days I should actually have a ruler. It could be 11 by 17. And then you have here your tracker planning sheet operations page right there. And then you have 88 1-inch counters, which look, I think, they look fantastic. Even the vehicle, you get some ground assets here. Here's a, what is that, a BRDM? I was never good at remembering my Soviet-style vehicles, but then you got there. Yeah, they look really, really good. 88 1-inch counters. And that is a look at what comes in the Battle for Ramadi solitaire game from Tiny Battle Publishing. So, you know, check it out. I'm going to work on doing like a little playthrough here. So I'm going to refresh the rules, make sure I've got this down a little bit, and we'll come back with a little playthrough to kind of give you an example of how the game works, because I think this is actually a really, really good game. And just a quick side note, I'm really glad we have another dedicated solitaire game. The last one I played dedicated solitaire from Tiny Battle is, well, actually a couple. There's the Dimension X games are really good, but I like more historically type war games. So the other one that I have I really like is Rifles in the Ardennes, and I'm really thankful that they're putting out some dedicated solitaire games. Because of the small footprint, you can take these with you and play them just about anywhere and get a nice war game experience. So good job, Tiny Battle. Fantastic that we continue to see some really good solitaire games. All right, that's it for that. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.